Hi, welcome to my eclectic channel. My name is Agnès and I make videos for fun. By popular demand, today we're listening to the French song Carte Postale by Francis Cabrel. This melancholic song is depicting the transition of a village into the television era. In the 1980s and probably earlier, much was blamed on the television. Compared to what smartphones and social media have done to society, those problems today look quite quaint. But the growing importance of television in people's lives was part of a societal change. The title of the song, Postcard, comes back to the song over and over in the refrain as an old postcard left on an old piece of furniture under a layer of dust. This song is super nostalgic to me, and as we go through it, I will be reminiscing on some childhood memories. I will not be translating the song word for word, however, that'd be really boring. I have put I have the French lyrics and a full English translation in the description under the video. Without further ado, let's get to the song.
Allumer les postes de télévision, verrouiller les portes des conversations, oublier les dames et les jeux de cartes, endormi les fermes quand les jeunes partent.
Like I said, a melancholic song. In this first stanza, Cabrel talks about TVs that are on and people who are no longer talking. He also mentions the end of farms as the young leave. Francis Cabrel is a couple decades older than I am, and so he probably experienced some things that were already gone by the time I was a child, even if in my little village we probably lived a little behind the times. When I lived there as a child, we had two dairy farms in the village. One was still active and the other one was phasing out with no descendants to take over once the elders retired. The active dairy farm was actually right next door to our house, and for reasons I don't think I would comprehend, my mom would allow me to go get milk in roller skates. Part of that was on the roadway, and then part of that was on dirt on the farm grounds. And I remember at least one time when I had to get back home with my head hung low and ask for my mom for another 10 franc coin.
Briser les lumières des ruelles en fête, refroidit le vin brûlant les assiettes, emporter les mots des serveuses aimables, et disparu les chiens jouant sous les tables, déchirer les nappes des soirées de noces, oublier les fables du sommeil des gosses, arrêter les valses du dernier jupon et les fausses notes des accordéons.
In this part of the song, we are cranking up the nostalgia. It's talking about community gatherings that are no longer taking place. Growing up, we still had an active parish, and at the village school, all of the parents knew each other, and the kids were pretty much like siblings. We spent a lot of time together, either playing outside or at each other's houses. The moms never knew which set of kids were gonna come home for the after-school snack, the goûter. I danced my first waltz as a young teenager with an elder of the village at a harvest festival. The band was entirely comprised of family members from my classmates. They played the accordion and sang. Incidentally, the song is using interesting grammar. The sentences do not start with the subject, but rather with an adjective. In the stanza we just heard, we have broken, cold, taken away, gone, torn, forgotten, and halted. Now that I'm looking at it, this really is a cheerful song.
C'est un amour perdu sous les étoiles avec de vieux rideaux pendus à des fenêtres sales et sur le vieux buffet sous la poussière grise il reste une carte postale.
This is the refrain, which I really like. It's talking about a hameau or hamlet. A hamlet is a block in a village, not really a block. France is not the Midwest. It's a grouping of family homes. And that grouping of homes can be an isolated group a few kilometers away from the village center. Growing up, my house did not have a number. The address had the name of the village and the name of the hamlet. And from the family name, the mailman knew which house to deliver the letter to. That hamlet is lost under the stars with old curtains hanging over dirty windows. And on an old piece of furniture under a layer of dust, there's a postcard left behind. Paints a picture, doesn't it?
Goudronner les pierres des chemins tranquilles, relever les herbes des endroits fragiles, déserter les places des belles foraines, assécher les traces de l'eau des fontaines.
This stanza describes both the urbanization and the desertification of public places in the village. I was shocked to discover recently, for some reason I went snooping on Google Earth, that in my village there were now sidewalks. But I wonder how many kids there are on the sidewalks when school lets out. Cabrel also talks about fountains that have been allowed to go dry. When I was a young child, we had, down the hill from my house, a double stone basin under a roof. The basins were filled with trash, but it was fun to run around the edges of them. I learned from my mom that this used to be the communal place where women did their laundry. Later, they cleaned out the stone basins and installed a bus stop.
Oublier les phrases sacrées des grands-pères, aux âtres des grandes cheminées de pierre, envoler les rires des nuits de moisson et allumer les postes de télévision. C'est un amour perdu sous les étoiles avec de vieux rideaux pendus à des fenêtres sales et sur le vieux buffet sous la poussière grise il reste une carte postale.
This stanza talks about the loss of contact between generations. Pre-TV era, the evening was story time with the elders sitting by the fireplace. My grandparents owned a country farmhouse that used to belong to a wealthy farmer in the French countryside, an hour and a half from where we lived. They used the house as a summer home. It had no heat aside for the fireplace in the living room, and that's where we would all huddle on cold spring days when we were there a little early in the season. The last stanza, which I will allow to play to end this video, talks about young women wearing dresses and carrying baskets full of cherries at the sound of crickets. There were times when I got into trouble with my friends for stealing apples from orchids planted on the side of the roads. We were allowed, however, to harvest cherries from a big tree that was on the way between school and my house. The owners had 2 of those and they could only eat cherries. There was already too many cherries for them in one tree, so we were allowed to climb in the other one and have a snack before getting home. Mom never knew how hungry the kids would be for the after-school snack either. I have not gone back to my childhood village in over 2 decades, but I'm fairly sure that most of what I lived as a child has died, even though the population has grown. The parish died before I went to college. The village became a cité dortoir, or dormitory city, to the nearby metropolitan area. Before I leave you with the rest of the song, let me thank you for watching until now and for subscribing to my channel. If any of this brought back childhood memories for you, or brought up things that you would have liked to experience, let us know in the comments. French songs have been a secondary thing I do on this channel. It's mostly sewing. But if there are more songs that you would like to see, please let me know. No promises, the song needs to speak to me, otherwise it would be one boring video.
Envoler les robes des belles promises, les ailes des grillons, les paniers de cerises. Oublier les rires des nuits de moisson et allumer les postes de télévision.
And the name of the hamlet, and from the